Paul, another huge victory for you today.
Yeah, bit of a strange game in some regards. Didn't think we were at it first half, certainly. Better second half. I thought as it went on, I thought they looked tired. I thought some of our players also looked tired. Whether that's a accumulation of the games in quick succession, but as we know on our side at least, we made changes to try and combat that to a degree. I don't think it was that warm a day. I think it was a bit deceiving, the sun. But certainly in the second half, we definitely got on top and had chances at it, the crossbar. But a late-ish goal was most welcome, and a very welcome 3 points.
Key moment for me really was when you say first half you went at your best and they were the better side, but when Harry brought you back into that game just before half time, you could almost see everybody lift.
Yeah, that would at half time. Part of it was you got out of jail a little bit there. We seemed a bit tentative almost again, which I don't really know why. We spoke about Torquay being on a good run, but they had some chances. Max made a couple of good saves, but with kind of giving them respect. But I didn't think it was through really good play. I think we kept making mistakes and inviting chances or pressure on. So we were grateful to Max for a couple of saves, but eventually got punished from a set play, which we spoke about is a big strength of theirs. But a good strike from Harry, who I thought, Harry, Gav and Scans, I thought was our 3 kind of standout performers in the first half. We had a few in between and a few that they're not getting away from it were pretty poor, that needed to be to up the games. Thankfully they did that, and as I said, the longer the game went, I thought we were on top. But again, while the scoreline's like that, the long throw, the corners, set plays, you're always just a little bit wary.
Did you make a little change in the midfield sort of towards the end of the first half? Did Harry seem to become a little bit more central and go a bit further forward, or was that just something we saw from the stand?
No, that was just the way it must have worked out. It wasn't a tweet. The idea was for Harry and Gav to get forward more. That was the kind of change of system with John being out. And I think you could see it was on for him to do that. I'd say him and or both of them got forward well at times. Could have been even more. I don't think as a team occasionally we didn't quite understand that, but it was more kind of just defensively. I think we were too deep. My centre half didn't head enough balls. Joey Jones was heading some balls, which that's part of his job. But comes a point sometimes the centre half has to head it, and that wasn't happening enough. Joey won his headers or some of his headers. Then we're too deep to try and contest the second ball. So yeah, it wasn't certainly all right. But the lads hung on in there, and like I said, second half, felt they did get on top, and it keeps a very good run going at an important stage of the season.
Seemed to push fullbacks a little bit further forward second half as well.
They were asked to do that first half. Sometimes people need some reminders, and to be a bit braver perhaps. I don't want them both going at the same time, not in that system again. These kind of some differences that we've spoke about. Chris in particular has been through that with the players, and they've got to understand that. But first half we spoke about the back 4 similar to Stockport, not coming out of the holes in terms of allowing space for their runners. But when we've got the ball, they've got to be a little bit further forward, particularly when the ball's their side of the pitch. And even from goal kicks, we've kind of sat in as a 4. We were always going to be outnumbered for that second ball, so that was certainly mentioned at half time.
Was it tricky towards the end because it was a game you wanted to win, but in a way would have caused more problems if you'd lost it?
Yeah, I don't mind admitting it. I was thinking about a change for some time, but that was kind of a little bit of a dilemma. I didn't want us to suddenly give up the middle of the pitch, and not have, by taking a midfielder off. But we did feel that, a bit of energy at the top end. They looked, like I said, I thought they looked a little fatigued. That having a runner, closer to Ryan in the first instance would benefit. Don't know if he quite exactly played out that way, but certainly, Trist showed excellent composure from coming on the pitch to tuck away the penalty.
Was there any doubt he was going to take?
I didn't know who was going to take it, and people might think that's strange, but I'm a big believer, as in the lads are there. It's a moment, like Ryan might have stepped up and taken it. He was clearly struggling and it took a knock. So, yeah, once Trist had made his mind up, more than happy with that and slotted it away nicely.
So Ryan's taken a knock. Is it a bad one? Or?
I don't know, John, to be honest. I asked him if he was okay when he come off. He said yeah. So I'm hoping that is the case and he wasn't just saying it. But again, he was one where I thought he looked like he wasn't quite moving freely. But then all of a sudden the ball comes into him, he lays it off, we get runners off him. He's excellent at that. It's a big part of his game. So he kind of convinced me, I guess, to keep him on, and up until the final stages.
John McAtee obviously not making it today. Is there any more news that you can update us with since last week? Has he gone for an MRI or anything?
Yeah, all the kind of I guess bits that we wanted him to go through and people to see is now done. That's complete. He will be back in next week training, or training as in at the training ground, doing some rehab. How that goes will depend on whether or not he's available to us or how quickly he is. In theory, and in principle, we should be able to get him back playing between now and the end of the season. And again, whenever the end of the season is. But ultimately it will depend how much pain he's in and how free he is with that shoulder. He will need an operation, but that can be delayed if he can cope with it. So there's still some ifs. At the minute it's another sort of piece of good news in general, but it's certainly far from a formality that he will be back out there for us.
And I suppose your results also might depend whether you pick him or not to a certain extent. If you get through and are comfortable in the playoffs positions, you might be tempted to leave him for that. That
sounded really nice what you just said, but we're not there yet. So yeah, but granted that could be part of it. What I don't want to do is put John out there if he, you've got to be careful you don't put someone out there because you'd like him to be, but he's not the same player that's out there and he's not contributing. So again, that will have to be assessed on the training pitch when we get to that point. The start of the week certainly he won't be on the training pitch. It will be gym-based work, just trying to, like I say, rehab the shoulder and see what progress he can make, I guess.
That's great, thank you very much.